Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirani here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. How are you this morning? It is sort of just a chilly, gray day here, early in February, which is making me think about the days, hopefully it won't be too far away, when I can get up in the morning, take my coffee, and go sit out in my herb garden to enjoy it. Thinking about my herb garden made me want to share another herb with you, so another spotlight herb, if you will. And today I wanted to talk about chamomile. Almost everybody has either heard of chamomile and probably even had some sort of chamomile tea or herbal remedy made with chamomile at some point in their life. And the reason is this herb is just a powerhouse, but in a very gentle way. Some people even refer to it as sort of a heal-all because it seems to be good for just about everything. Now, you might remember the story of Peter Rabbit back when you were a child, and I'm probably going to get half of the story wrong because it's been a long time since I've read that story. But if you recall, Peter Rabbit sort of broke into the farmer's garden and ate a whole bunch of lettuce and carrots and whatever he could munch down, filled himself up, and then was chased by the farmer out of the garden. Farmer chasing him with a pitchfork, I believe, is how the story goes. And when he finally gets home, he is so distraught and upset and ill feeling that his mother puts him to bed with a cup of chamomile tea. Now, the reason that this makes so much sense is because there are a couple different things that are probably going wrong with Peter Rabbit in this story, and chamomile tea will fix all of them. He most likely ate too much. You know, when you're just free in the garden, it just can't be helped. So the chamomile tea is going to help with that digestive upset. He was probably suffering a bit of anxiety and stress as well from being chased by the farmer with a pitchfork. And then also, he's finally home now. His mother's upset. He probably, is just a little bit depressed on how his day went. And it's also even a little bit of a mood lifter, and just, it just feels good. It makes you happy. It tastes good. It smells good. It's the perfect, in this instance, like the perfect remedy for this little kid rabbit because it's gentle and yummy. So, it sort of makes sense. So letting go of the story and really getting down to chamomile tea, I'll tell you that one thing I found very confusing when I was first getting into teas and herbs many moons ago was the fact that I would see oftentimes two very common but different types of chamomile, and I didn't know what was right and what was wrong. One is a German chamomile and the other is Roman. Now, if you want to check out my blog post, I will put the link down in the description box below, where I'll get into the actual real serious plant names of those two plants, and also a lot more additional information that I'm not going to go to here in this video. But out of the two, German and Roman, I was like, what one is right? What one is the best one for my herbal remedies? And it turns out German is the one that is used the most when it comes to teas and herbal remedies. However, if you use Roman, it'll work too. So I mentioned the story about Peter Rabbit to indicate that it's good for a lot of different things. But I want to talk a little bit more in depth, but not crazy in depth, about those different things. Now, I use chamomile all the time in any sort of skin or skincare product that I'm making myself. So I've used it in face washes, in toners. I use it in an herbal bath I'm going to soak, just because, for one, it smells nice. I'll probably mention that a few times. It smells and tastes delicious. But it's also just soothing. That is the overall action of chamomile is soothing. So anything that feels like it's upset, whether it's your skin being red, whether it's your belly or any other issue, if it feels upset and needs to be calmed, chamomile is probably a very safe go-to herb. to use in that instance. So if you have dry skin or any chronic issues like eczema or psoriasis, chamomile can help calm that down a little bit. If you have something acute going on, more like a sunburn or just like a regular burn or scrapes and scratches, chamomile will calm that down. I tend to get sort of redness in my face and my cheeks a little bit, so I use chamomile in like my face toner and my face wash that I make just to help reduce that a little bit. It calms down even like the redness of my face. Not that you can tell right now because I can see the red in my face. It's just flush, yeah. So while it's great for your skin, it's also great for your digestive system as well. So if you are suffering from some sort of digestive upset, whether it's just indigestion or nausea, whether it's acid reflux, gas, diarrhea, even constipation, like anything upset in your digestive system, having a cup of chamomile tea will often sort of help calm it down. It's not a miracle cure, but it will definitely help. Now, chamomile also, when drank as a tea, will sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Thin. It'll thin your mucus. So if you are coming down with like cold and flu symptoms and you're feeling a little congested, you could grab the Mucinex, but you could also try a cup of chamomile tea to help sort of thin it out, allow it to clear. It also has some antimicrobial properties, as many herbs do. So if you're fighting off some sort of infection, it might also be good for that too. And lastly, it's definitely known as a nervous system tonic, meaning you can drink it every day to help your body deal with stress. So yes, an emergency cup of chamomile tea is great if a farmer has just chased you out of their garden with a pitchfork, but drinking it every day also just helps you sort of deal with stress, helps your body deal with stress, helps with anxiety, and also will help you sleep without being that sort of sedative put you out. So if you drink a cup of chamomile tea in the afternoon, you're not going to go unconscious. You'll still be able to function and do whatever you need to do. But when you lay down to go to sleep, your mind will be a little more likely to just let the day go and drift off into dreamland. Now quickly, I've mentioned several times that I love the taste of chamomile tea. I also love the smell. I think it sort of tastes and smells sort of like fresh grass mixed with an apple. I mean, I wouldn't call it apple flavored. You're not going to give anybody a cup of chamomile tea and convince them that you're giving them apple juice. But it just has that essence, that sweetness of an apple, which I've also heard sort of like a honey-like sweetness. But to me, it's an apple sweetness. There are a few different ways that you can buy chamomile. Now, you can buy it at the grocery store in the tea section. Just look for something maybe organic or look at the ingredients and make sure that it's just chamomile. Unless, of course, you're looking for something more. There are often many blends that are made with chamomile. Just look at the ingredients so that you're aware of what you're drinking. Because not every herb, even though they're natural, not every herb is good for every person. So it's important that you know what works for you and what doesn't, and avoid teas that contain things that don't work for you. Now, I like to buy my chamomile from an herb store. This is a package of chamomile tea that I had purchased a while back. To look at it a little more closely, I don't know how you can see this. I will try to hold it up here. It's just like these dried daisy-like flowers. But I also have some that I harvested out of my own herb garden this year, and they look a little different. They're just a little whiter. I don't know if you can see very well. Like you can see the white petals just a little clearer. They didn't all turn yellow. It's not a huge difference, but a little difference. Still smells delicious. However you get your tea, or your chamomile herb, I should say, there's a couple different things that you can do with it. And the first is to make tea. Now, if you're just buying tea bags, then it's very easy, right? Just pop one in a cup, pour some hot water over it, let it steep. Now, the steeping thing, it's kind of a personal taste here. So the longer you steep it, it will start to turn a little more bitter. So a shorter steep time gives you better flavor, but the longer steep time will give you more medicinal oomph. So, you kind of got to find that sweet spot of where it still tastes good, but has steeped long enough. I usually do mine probably 5 minutes if I'm just wanting a cup of chamomile tea. If I really feel like I'm trying to treat something, I will probably go more like 10 to 15 minutes. You can go longer. If you're making tea, you might even consider adding in another herb just to help support whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish with your chamomile tea. So you can just drink it plain and enjoy the benefits, but there are a couple herbs that just work really well with chamomile. The first is lavender. Lavender, again, it's very calming. It helps you sleep. It's good for headaches. So if you're feeling sort of tense and stressed and headachy, or you're afraid that maybe your thoughts are going to keep you awake at night, adding a little bit of lavender to your chamomile tea is a great addition. However, if you're drinking the chamomile tea because of stomach upset, then a little bit of fresh ginger thrown in could also be delicious and will help soothe your belly. Along those same lines, if you're having sort of intestinal issues, if the issues are more like gas related or even lack of appetite, so maybe you're just not hungry or you're gassy or a little bit of both, fresh basil leaves, if you just take one in your hand and just smack it sort of to release it or muddle it, whatever you want, and then throw it in with your chamomile, add the hot water, let it steep. Tastes delicious, and it's great for digestive upset. And then the last two I want to mention, the first one is lemon. That's wonderful, especially if you're sick. If you're taking it because you have some sort of cold and flu going, you get the extra vitamin C from the lemon, just squeeze some in. It's also just refreshing and makes you feel good, and it tastes good too. And lastly, peppermint. You can also use other mints. Peppermint tends to be sort of the go-to mint because it is the strongest. Peppermint is great for headaches and also some digestive upset. The one caveat to that is acid reflux. If you suffer from acid reflux or heartburn, avoid the peppermint. Maybe go for spearmint, which is a little bit lighter and doesn't have a negative effect. Peppermint sort of relaxes the esophageal sphincter, which is what is allowing some of the acid to come up into your esophagus. So we don't want that if you're already suffering from acid reflux. Now, in addition to drinking your tea, you can also take a chamomile bath, which is essentially just to make a decent amount, maybe a big coffee French press full of chamomile tea, dump it into your bath water, or just take a couple tea bags and throw them right into your hot water as you're running your tea. Those are great options. Again, it's soothing to your skin, moisturizing, very nice. So putting it in a bath is a great idea, or use it to make your homemade skin toner or face wash. Now, my favorite way to make any really sort of herbal tea or anything loose tea wise is I have a little French press that does 1 cup. So I just put my tea in here, add the hot water, stir it around, let it sit for however long I want to steep it. And then this has a little strainer at the bottom. You just press it down, the tea stays in the bottom, and you're able to just pour out the liquid. Very easy, very simple. If you're using loose tea, you can also buy these little tea bags. I can find the hole in it. There's a little hole right here. So you just scoop in some tea, place this in, add your water. When you're done, pop it out. This is actually compostable, so you can put it in your compost bin or just toss it. Easy peasy. You can also use other metal strainers. The thing to know is with chamomile, it expands a lot when it sits in the water. So using just one like those little tea balls often isn't going to work for chamomile, because you need, usually I would put a good tablespoon of dried chamomile to make a cup of tea, and you can't fit that much in a little regular tea ball. The tea balls are really made more for actual tea. So again, check out my blog post on this, where I also get into some thoughts on side effects or people who should not take chamomile. I hope you will give chamomile tea a try. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button and check out some of my other videos.